Hold on to your seats, because something wild went down backstage, something nobody was supposed to see, record, or let slip into the public eye. Somehow, though, snippets are everywhere now, and the gossip just keeps getting juicier. At the center of this chaos is Cardi B, the queen of explosive reactions, brutal honesty, and headline-stealing antics. But insiders insist this time, her backstage move wasn't just another drama-filled outburst. It started controlled, precise even, then exploded far beyond what anyone saw coming. Facing her in this allegedly tense moment is Stefon Diggs, the usually unshakable athlete whose calm exterior rarely cracks. Yet witnesses claim even his chill vibes looked off that day, like something behind the scenes blindsided him, twisting the energy of the entire room. Here's where it gets really messy. Unnamed sources say this backstage fiasco wasn't some random mix-up. It kicked off with a tiny interaction that blew up in seconds, sparked by a minor slip, a misread, or a miscommunicated comment at the absolute worst moment. Eyewitness-style accounts report a sudden shift in tone, stiffening postures, and tension so thick people nearby allegedly froze, knowing trouble was brewing. Almost immediately, voices escalated. Movement slowed. People shuffled back. Security tightened their grip. And in that tiny slice of time, what should have been ordinary backstage suddenly morphed into high-alert drama no one predicted. The kicker? A short, incomplete clip now circulating online only shows the aftermath. Not the spark, not the trigger, just the chaos after it already hit. Which leaves one burning question that nobody seems to answer. What actually went down in those missing, mysterious seconds? What should have been a boring backstage handoff somehow exploded into chaos, so intense that witnesses are still clamming up. Because, of course, early whispers insist the public has only glimpsed a fraction of the story. Not even close. To actually get why this backstage moment didn't just fizzle out, you need to dig past the drama itself and peek into the history, personalities, and non-stop pressure weighing on both stars long before they awkwardly collided in the same space. On one side is Cardi B, the relentless powerhouse whose climb to global fame has been anything but subtle. From hustling with raw personality and zero filter to becoming one of the most impossible-to-ignore figures in music, she's built a brand on authenticity and intensity. And that fire doesn't just stay on stage, it follows her everywhere. Over the years, Cardi has earned a reputation for snapping hard whenever she feels misread, challenged, or disrespected. Whether interviews, social media feuds, or random hallway encounters, her reactions are immediate, emotional, and impossible to ignore. Sure, that's fueled her massive stardom, but it's also turned even tiny misunderstandings into headline-grabbing fiascos. Insiders say she's hyper-aware backstage, reading tone, body language, and hidden intentions like pro. And in high-pressure chaos, that radar can turn into extreme sensitivity, especially around unfamiliar faces or unpredictable situations. On the flip side is Stefon Diggs, a professional athlete whose public vibe couldn't be more different. Diggs is famous for discipline, composure, and laser focus on and off the field. In public, he radiates calm confidence rather than dramatic flair, whether in locker rooms, media rounds, or public appearances. He is known for keeping his reactions in check and dodging unnecessary drama. But anyone who knows high-profile athletes understands that their world is a constant tightrope of expectations, media scrutiny, brand image, personal boundaries, and cross-industry interactions. And when these two worlds collide, especially backstage or in restricted spaces, chaos is practically guaranteed. Things got messy fast because backstage dynamics are basically a pressure cooker waiting to explode. What makes this whole mess extra spicy is, well, backstage itself. These spaces are never simple. They are controlled chaos, structured chaos, full of people from every possible team, role, and hidden agenda. Artists, athletes, managers, security, coordinators, all crammed into tight spaces, racing against the clock with impossible schedules. According to alleged insiders, both Cardi B and Stefon Diggs were stuck in this pressure cooker where timing and positioning could make or break everything. Even a tiny delay, a misdirected message, or a brief schedule overlap can turn into a full-blown oh no moment. Some reports hint that before the supposed drama, there were already subtle communication hiccups, short exchanges, indirect nods, or tiny signals that seem meaningless at the time but now scream relevance. In spots like this, assumptions fill gaps when communication fails. One person expects a quick, controlled chat. The other reads it differently based on team intel or prior context. That's how tension sneaks in, not with shouting, but with mismatched expectations. And when those expectations clash, even a small exchange can feel like a bomb. Layer on top the fact that both of these stars live under the microscope. Every move, every glance, every whisper gets replayed, analyzed, and judged by millions instantly. That kind of pressure doesn't just influence reactions, it magnifies them. So when these two powerhouses cross paths in the same cramped backstage zone, the stage was set for chaos, not necessarily a fight, but a moment perfectly poised for misunderstanding. And according to emerging whispers, that's exactly what went down. What seemed casual on the outside, pure illusion, overlapping assumptions, unspoken tension, and subtle friction were already building before anyone realized it. But even knowing that, one key question remains. Which exact moment flipped the switch? Which word or gesture transformed a routine encounter into a room-wide energy shift? Whatever it was, insiders say that was the point where the spiral began. Alleged eyewitness accounts insist the backstage drama didn't start as a confrontation at all. It kicked off as a normal, almost boring interaction nobody noticed. Cardi was reportedly tucked into a control prep area with her crew, while Stefon moved through the same backstage on his own schedule. On paper, this kind of cross-pathing is nothing new at high-profile events. People brush past, nod, and move on. But insiders claim this meeting didn't follow the usual script. Eyewitness-style reports say the first exchange seemed tiny and subtle, yet the tone, timing, and body language flipped so fast, nearby folks noticed immediately. What started neutral allegedly escalated into serious tension in seconds. One line, one reaction, and everything pivoted. Witnesses describe a dramatic energy shift. Cardi's presence reportedly sharpened, focused, reacting to something specific being said or implied. Diggs, in contrast, kept a calm exterior but with a firmness that screamed he wasn't expecting the turn. That's when the whole environment reportedly responded. Staff, assistants, and anyone close allegedly started paying attention, some inching closer, others stepping back, sensing the casual vibe had vanished. In backstage settings, pros are trained to catch shifts in tone, and insiders say this was one of those moments you literally couldn't ignore. And then came the escalation. Alleged reports claim voices overlapped, interruptions popped up, and tension brewed so fast it turned what should have been a chat into a full-blown argument in real time. At one point, someone nearby supposedly tried to step in quietly, probably hoping to redirect energy or split them up before things got messy. But nope, according to whispers, it only escalated. And here comes the first juicy twist. Right after the initial exchange, fragments of what looked like leaked messages hit the internet. Screenshots unverified, yet spreading like wildfire and analyzed frame by frame. These alleged leaks hint that the Cardi Stefon interaction might not have been totally spontaneous. Some content suggests prior awareness, timing cues, location overlap, maybe even an expectation they bump into each other backstage. If even a sliver of that's true, suddenly this isn't a random run-in. It may have involved prior context shaping how both approach the moment, and that alone changes how we interpret the blow-up. So is this just a heat-of-the-moment misunderstanding, or something set in motion before they even arrived? Insiders are split. Some say it was a misread, innocent chat spiraling due to tone and perception. Others swear underlying expectations, built before the encounter, fueled the flare-up. But here's the one thing everyone agrees on. Once the tone flipped, there was zero recovery. The room reportedly snapped into serious, contained, tense mode, way beyond what anyone expected from a simple backstage brush. And as bystanders tried to process the drama, another factor allegedly entered, twisting everything. Just when it seemed like things might chill, an element arrived that allegedly flipped the scene completely. And what followed supposedly catapulted this from a small disagreement into a moment dissected, debated, and gossiped about more than anyone imagined. As tension mounted, insiders claimed the backstage vibe didn't calm down. It became tighter, more reactive, and unpredictably chaotic. At this point, Cardi and Stefon weren't just trading words anymore. Alleged eyewitness-style accounts say extra people subtly moved closer, curiosity, concern, or to intervene, piling more pressure onto the situation. That once contained exchange reportedly became a multi-person hotspot, overlapping voices, exchange instructions, and de-escalation attempts that may have backfired. Some insiders call this a turning point, because instead of cooling, the energy allegedly spiked. Cardi, known for expressive flair, reportedly reacted stronger as seconds ticked by, tone sharper, body language bolder. Diggs, though maintaining composure, allegedly shifted subtly, holding his ground like the room demanded clarity or resolution. Then came the bombshell. Soon after, unverified screenshots and message fragments spread across social media. Though unconfirmed, posts hinted prior awareness of shared presence at the event. Alleged references to timing, coordination, indirect communication, and logistical overlap, if real, suggest this backstage encounter wasn't entirely accidental. That revelation instantly reframed how people interpreted the incident. No longer just a random backstage brush. Observers theorized prior context played a role. Mutual contacts, overlapping schedules, team messages. Social platforms erupted with speculation. Discussion threads disassembled every second of the rumored clip. Users analyzed posture, tone shifts, and alleged timing mismatches, trying to reconstruct the full sequence from fragments alone. Fragmented information. Yes, some viewers argued this was just a simple misunderstanding blown up by environment and pressure. Others insisted that alleged prior communication suggested something more intentional, or at least structured, than anyone first believed. Meanwhile, commentary accounts and independent analysts jumped in, offering their own spins, each presenting different angles of what may have gone down. One widely shared post claimed that backstage dynamics are massively misunderstood by the public, pointing out overlapping schedules, team coordination, and restricted access zones that make unplanned interactions almost inevitable. Another viral comment suggested the real problem wasn't the exchange itself, but the expectations each side carried into the space. Even if one person expected a brief, controlled encounter while the other approached with a different understanding, a small interaction could easily go tense, and that's exactly what many think happened here. Yet despite all the chatter, one major fact remains. No official confirmation has verified any of the alleged leaks or claims online. No direct explanation has clarified what actually happened, and no authoritative source has reconstructed the full sequence of events, which leaves the public swimming in fragments, interpretations, and endless theories. And as the conversation grows, one thing is clear. This isn't seen as an isolated moment anymore. It's now part of a bigger puzzle involving timing, perception, communication gaps, and the unpredictable chaos of high-pressure environments. Meanwhile, a new wave of reactions has hit. Fans, commentators, public voices, all now divided over what this actually means, their responses pushing the story in even more controversial directions. The moment fragments of the backstage drama hit the internet, reactions were not just fast. They were chaotic, overwhelming, and deeply split, as millions raced to form opinion from incomplete info. At the heart of all this, Cardi B and Stefon Diggs, whose names immediately started trending everywhere. And as users dissected every alleged detail, social media became a real-time investigation board. Rumored clips replayed frame by frame, body language, facial expressions, and tone analyzed like each microsecond held the ultimate truth. Hashtags trended within hours. Discussion threads exploded with thousands of comments, each offering a unique theory. But instead of consensus, division ruled. Some argued the situation was overblown, claiming backstage areas are inherently chaotic, stressful, and easily misinterpreted in short clips. From that angle, what people saw was just a tiny misunderstanding magnified by social speculation. Others vehemently disagreed, pointing to alleged leaked fragments, energy shifts, and sudden attention from nearby people as proof that something serious occurred. These users insisted the tension couldn't be dismissed as a simple misread. Debate grew fiery. Comment sections lit up with heated exchanges defending either side with increasing intensity. Some framed Cardi B as reacting to perceived high-pressure issues, highlighting her direct, outspoken history. Others argued Diggs stayed composed, handling it professionally despite surprises. Meanwhile, content creators and commentary channels jumped in, posting breakdowns, reactions, and speculations, fueling public interest further. Each new upload added new angles, theories, and assumptions, turning the story into a constantly evolving narrative. Even outside fan circles, entertainment, and sports audiences noticed. Anonymous industry voices hinted that backstage setups involve overlapping schedules, complex coordination, and many moving parts invisible to the public. What seems simple on the surface can hide layers of planning and misalignment. Analysts suggested this controversy underscores how fast incomplete info shapes perception. One clip, a few alleged messages, an eyewitness-style account, and suddenly a narrative forms in public minds, accurate or not. Perhaps the most striking impact is how divided opinions became. No unified interpretation, just competing narratives, each backed by fragments and fueled by